Good evening, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I am talking about the cost of living crisis, linking the cost of living to benefit, universal credit money, financial support given in the United Kingdom for those who need help with money. This is a continuation of the other videos. If you watch this video, they may look similar, but there is a segment of different topics under a big umbrella of universal of the cost of living crisis, which are actually been doing for close to more than 1 year now. Thank you everyone to be supporting this channel and for subscribing, sharing with family and friends. And thank you so much for clicking notification bell, clicking like, and leave a comment and participating in the program. And if you are new, consider supporting this channel. The best way is to subscribe and share with family and friends and people you know and people you might not know. And also click like and notification bell so that you don't miss out on topic on videos. And leave a comment below what you feel, what you think about the content or any other thing you would like to talk about. Let us be active. We are actually making a progress. We are a work in progress, and I'm so excited and I'm grateful for this platform to be around and to be available as an opportunity. And with these all challenges, there are so many rules within YouTube channel. And if you are a content creator, it's best to really familiarize yourself with the rule and with anything surrounding rules. It's so complex. In my opinion, if you think it is not complex, leave a comment below. And if you think it's easy to understand rules or YouTube rules, then let me know. For me, rules of any sort is always complex. So many things are hidden. And to benefit perfectly from any rule, you need an expert. And I don't know an expert on the YouTube channel what kind of law you should or policy you should be an expert on to handle the rules. Because you see, for me, sometimes when I read through the guidelines and the rules and do's and don'ts on the YouTube channel, it is really for me it is just I want clarity and details, more meat or more links, but like in anything you have to look up to yourself in terms of getting to understand the rules, because you see some of the rules can be really draconian because if you don't really know, you are actually, a lot of people actually participate, even users of social media. A lot of people actually participate in social media. They really don't know what to do or what not to do. So I believe this platform can improve its guidelines. It can simplify it. It is so blunt at the moment. It's just like you're like a minefield. If you're to break the rules, you can easily get into trouble. And YouTube have been taking down channels, terminating channels, and it's not unjust necessarily because they are functioning within rules. But I think the more tolerant they can be, the better for the platform. I think if they want to be fair, then they should provide more support for content creators, which I feel probably it is lacking at the moment, because you fall foul of so many. You learn the hard way, when either your video is removed, when your video is taken down, then you realize it's like a jungle. It's like you're on your own God floor. I feel the support should really improve on YouTube channel, and actually compare YouTube with other social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or probably all the others. I feel YouTube is probably the best platform because it's fairer than the other social media. And I would say it is because as the government pays more attention to regulate activities on YouTube, putting pressure on the YouTube authorities, content creators and users will begin to face more challenges, such that a lot of people will actually be kicked out of YouTube altogether. People with money, people with lawyers will be the ones left to participate on the platform. I see that happening across all the social media. That as always, those who can access legal help or policy advice from experts who have money, these are the ones who will ultimately remain on the social media. That's my prediction. Leave a comment below if you think you understand something about the rules governing YouTube. I know this is an opportunity. I know a lot of people come here to use the opportunity to do what they feel they need to do, but there's also the question of sustainability for YouTube and YouTubers, and also channel users, people who come here, maybe to do research, find information, or do find useful material for if they are running businesses, if they're looking for health information, care, or any financial support, or if they want to invest. So potentially a platform like YouTube can really help a lot. But also I feel that there has to be more access in terms of conversation between content creators community, where they can discuss issues which actually, I think there should be more democratizing of the space in terms of rules and regulations, because there is so much reach. You do a lot of work building your channel, and you don't know if they're going to take it down or not, because you don't know what rules to keep and which rule not to keep. So it's like a ticking time bomb. I have said enough about that. I mentioned rules because I'm going to talk about rules in a minute to do with universal credit. And when I talk about universal credit here, I'm actually trying to discuss the specifics, but more to do with the policy, sometimes the politics of YouTube. I'm not an the policy and the politics of benefit in the United Kingdom. I'm more interested in that. I'm not an expert, so nobody viewing my channel should treat this material as a source of material from experts. If you think it is valuable, watch it. If you don't, then don't watch. If it's entertaining, watch it, because some part of the function of media is actually entertainment. I'm not making claim that I am providing an expert opinion, but this information I give are actually accurate. I may not be able to defend it if I am confronted by somebody, but if I do research, everything I say is actually defendable in terms of information, in terms of what I say, because I speak what I know in terms of policy, what I hear on the news. My interpretation may not be the same, and that is why the open and honest discussion on this platform is essential. So if you watch this, if you're many, if you're few, you're welcome, and if you participate in one way or the other, you're welcome. And let's get on with what we got to get on with it and look at universal credit. And I've been looking at universal credit, which is the main benefit in the United Kingdom. You go on gov.uk online and also other websites. I have mentioned websites here. Look for the information you need. Take this as an opportunity for yourself and for myself and for other people as well. For me, it's a lifetime opportunity to participate, to do what I'm trying to do. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to YouTube channel, platform, these facilities. I'm grateful for it. And I'm also grateful for people who actually are helping me to watch the video, to subscribe, and also to share with family and friends, and also people who directly or indirectly may support me financially, but which they haven't yet started supporting. Our families and friends who I can actually talk to them privately, not through the channel of YouTube, because through the channel of YouTube I cannot yet ask for finance for using this channel, because the system has locked me out, because I'm not yet eligible, and that is the process. My channel is growing. You see, if my channel grows, it helps me more to get more support from YouTube, but it is what it is. And it has taken more than 12 months now to build this channel, and I'm grateful I have done something about it, because this channel was created in 2012 and I did not do any work with it. I didn't know almost anything about YouTube, how it works. I just set the channel up and left it there. And when I began to see other YouTubers, then I realized the potential for the channel, where this potential of this channel, where I can do many things. I can talk what I think I should talk, to the extent that the YouTube facilities allows, but also because there are so many minefields created by the platform, obviously, in their attempt to try and regulate this space. I'm not saying the unjust or unfair, but there is a lot of risk, challenges if you are actually a content creator, because you are mostly operating in the dark. If you learn any lesson, you might learn it the hard way. Some people have heard their channel struck or terminated, but that is life. And I'm mentioning this so that you take precaution. I mean, perhaps if there are rules which are actually opaque, such as you find in YouTube channel, and so all the social media are like that. The rules are actually, I would say, they are wanting, because they are just there and it's so difficult to filter through them. And I'm going to talk about another rule surrounding the benefit system in the United Kingdom. If you live in the United Kingdom, you know, the United Kingdom, or in Europe, America, perhaps also in Asia, if I say a benefit from the government, you probably understand it, because it has been there for decades. It's part of the state infrastructure, state enterprise, if you like. But as I said in the rest of the video, things are changing. The British government, for example, say they are wanting, especially the Conservative Party, say they want a small government. And New Labour also wants a small government. The thinking is moving from left to right of the political spectrum. This is a common knowledgeable information. If you're interested in politics, to understand it, do a research. There is information. We live in an information age. You cannot miss anything. There is information everywhere. If you watch the BBC Parliament, if you go to their website, if you watch political arguments or policy argument by politicians, everybody across the globe is now looking for a smaller government. And this smaller government means shut down. Are you going to make a government small? You're going to shut it down. The shutdown process is achieved by privatization. I'm actually saying this. If you think I'm wrong, leave a comment below. If you think I'm right, leave a comment below. Or just sit and watch and enjoy and maybe do a research. This is the situation in the world, not just in the United Kingdom. It has nothing to do with any individual. It's just what the system is about. People responsible to run responsible for running the country also face their own challenges to make sure they make the best use of what is a monstrous situation of law and policy. I am not afraid to say this, because you look at, if you go online and look at policy on gov.uk, on benefit, on housing, on employment, on health, on access to justice and consumer, all this information are actually part of social policy objectives from the government, because they relate to people's welfare. And if you go to the shop and buy a defective product, or you're not happy with it, you want to try to send it, or this is a consumer issue. These are actually more, I would say, to do with environmental issue, in terms of environmental factor, in terms of what service ordinary people access for their services. Because if you go to the shop, you might be going there to buy fruits and vegetables. So you, as a consumer, you are looking at the shop as a source of welfare and wellness, and also health. That is the outlook. You know, if you go to a clinic, if you go to go to a pharmacy, you're a consumer. And actually, these issues are actually social policy orientated. The government is responsible directly or indirectly for social policy objectives, social policy programs, delivery, administration and delivery, and services which come with it. And when the public sector closes down, it follows also that things to do with consumer is stopped. That is why there's the cost of living crisis, because cost of living crisis is a consumer issue, in the sense that people are not able to afford the cost of energy. In an age where we have almost unlimited access to technology, or the advantage of technology, artificial intelligence is now on the increase. The cost of products, goods and services, the cost should now be reducing. That is the logic of applying technology to the economy. The cost of living should actually be reducing, but the market as the brain of its own, even in the face of technology, even the face of reducing the human workforce, where the human workforce now are being replaced by the machine, artificial intelligence, for example, computer, like any form of robotics, machines, which is, I say, is a good thing in transportation, in name it, in producing food, and milk production. We're using technology more and more, producing fruits, which is all this has to do with welfare. Because welfare relates to people, what people want in terms of medicine, food, energy, water, housing, shelter, healthcare, education. These are all welfare issues. And consumer, whether there is justice, whether people can access justice, and the issue, including the issue of legal aid. You need to be aware. You actually have to be aware of the condition of can you actually access a lawyer. If you get in trouble with YouTube, can you get a lawyer to support you? If your channel is struck, you're a small person, you don't even have money. And what kind of relationship do you have? Is this business? Is contractual in terms of the law? Where do you start? This is media. So all these things are there, and ordinary people. That's why it's called social media. It's about society. Society means people like you and I, normal people. But it also means normal people who are actually more normal than normal. Multimillionaires, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates of their kingdoms. These people also are now increasingly using social media. The BBC, CNN, and CNBC, the main media, Sky, everybody has access to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We live in exciting times, but we live in a jungle where the law is actually emerging now, in my opinion, where in the next 5 to 10 to 20 to 50 to 100 years, ordinary people will not be able to benefit from social media. More of the same old story, and same old situation where the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. In terms of accessing information and opportunity, if you have nothing, the little you have will be taken away. This is to do with society. This is to do with how life is. And this is a cultural question as opposed to developmental question. And this is what I have actually proposed to actually structure my discussion. And so far, this is not a discussion of a channel, but it is what I'm doing at the moment. And I will be doing other things with this channel to the extent that I am within compliance, and I'm keen to avoid falling foul of question of compliance. And so you're warmly welcome once more, and if you came, you are warmly welcome. We are a work in progress, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for your support. As always, let us carry on looking at the benefit situation in the United Kingdom. When I say benefit, you're looking for benefit. Right now, if you're looking for benefit, go online, gov.uk if you live in the UK. If you live abroad, go to your government website in Europe, America, Asia, perhaps also in Africa, because the welfare system in Africa is almost non-existent, except maybe pension. We don't even have child benefit in Africa. They don't know what child benefit is if you live in the continent of Africa. And Africa is actually a continent, it's not a country. People living outside, actually there are people who live in Africa today. Their civic knowledge is really questionable, because even Africans living in Africa cannot distinguish between whether Africa is a country or a continent, but it is a continent. Like Europe. Europe is also a continent, it's not a country. And America is a continent. North and South America is a thing. Some people count North and South as one continent, but if you go to America, the United States, and also Canada, which is also in America, sometimes if you say you are going to America, people only think of the United States of America. But Canada is actually in North America. It's an American country. Brazil, Amazon area, Brazil, and all this Mexico, all these places are in America. In South America, there are many areas that still start developing in South America, which is like if you cross from South America to North America, you're crossing from maybe two different continents, and sometimes people treat them as different separate continents for different purposes. If you like regional geography or even some other form of geography, then or demography, things like that, little things like that, nice things like that. This is an opportunity. We live in an age of information. The internet is there. This YouTube channel is part of the digital economy. Resourcing the digital age, at least as a concept, but also in reality, in the real context of the world. So excited be having the opportunity to record this video, and please continue watching if you're watching, and continue leaving a comment if you are actually committed. If you're not committed, fine. It was nice. It is nice always to have you around, and it's always been nice to have you around. And let us go back to look at universal credit. When we are looking at this universal credit to discuss, we are looking at the rules, the rule of benefit, the rule of other issues, the rule governing other situations in relation to claiming benefit in the United Kingdom. So we are continuing from where we left the other day. We are actually looking at transitioning. If you are transitioning from legacy benefit, moving into new benefit, which is actually the segment we're looking at. But if you watch this, it sounds repeatable, which is okay, because this is the nature of information. Because you repeat certain things to illustrate certain things. This, you see, information actually, which if presented, they are presented as structures. So they are overlapping. You can actually talk about one thing for so many times. So if you look at calculating, say maybe the amount you get when you are actually assessing transitioning, which is called migration from legacy benefit to universal credit. Legacy means old benefit. Universal credit means new. So there are within universal credit legacy benefit elements are being represented as universal credit elements. So when you are doing the measurement of the amount, so you take into account you reduce your income, because they are means tested. And in the previous video, I explained what means tested is. Because this is social media, I have to repeat. Sometimes I have to repeat, because to understand what I'm talking about is more important than for me to explain things to people. Is more important than giving information. I'm not here to give information to anybody. I'm not here to provide an advice. If you want that, I'm not actually giving news or anything. If you want that, go to another platform. If you want me to help looking for information where you can get sources of information, maybe I can go online and get a link for you and leave it on the chat box if I can, and if I cannot, I will let you know, because it depends what YouTube allows me to do and what it doesn't allow me to do at this stage. And normally life is not easy. If you're a small man or woman in the world, including in the world of YouTubing, the bigger the better, the more the merrier. But we are okay, we are doing very well, we are actually happy, we have an opportunity, and we are actually making the best use of what we have, and also try to adjust where we remain in need, and such as size matters in life. So it's the case with YouTube channeling. So going back to universal credit as it is, and it's a complex process. To me, at least, there are experts. There are experts who will actually work over this information. But I take it upon myself. I take a risk, and I invite comments. People are actually listening, looking for information on universal credit, and the way I'm giving it, I'm trying to explain as I go along. That I'm trying to explain the nitty-gritty. Go online, you will find them. If you watch this video, even if it seems not to help you to help you in the way you want, if you're looking for information because you are a researcher, you might really prefer to look at bullet points, information you can get quickly, maybe from people who are more who are more fluent about benefit than me and my channel. I appreciate that, but take what you can and leave what you cannot, depending your aim, depending what you want. We are so lucky because YouTube channel has a robust capacity to take in millions of people per month. Hundreds of millions of people per month are actually using the platform, and this is our exciting times, and it is even just the beginning. And for this generation, let us make the best of what has been given, and also let us always remember to be grateful, whether you are in or you are actually whether you are actually participating on the YouTube, whether you are outside the YouTube, wherever you are, whether you are actually a YouTuber, content creator, or actually a YouTube creator or policy manager. Be grateful if you are continuing with this process, or if you decide to go out of YouTube, and I can close down my YouTube channel. I can close it down and start doing something else, maybe blogging online, or just do what I want to do, or start writing, or just do whatever I want to do. If I can find the opportunity and to take the opportunity, but the test of existence, whether you are a YouTuber, whether you are whether you are on YouTube, the test of your success in life is hard work. What if you are actually allowed to be a YouTuber? Work as hard as possible. Do your best. It's an opportunity. Teach yourself every skill you can. it will make you happy. It could actually make you a living. It can actually, it can allow you to build better and more productive relationship. You could be a happy person because you became a content creator. Do not lose sight of the value of being a content creator or a creator of the content platform. As in YouTube, there are people who are actually create YouTube. There are people who actually are expert on policy. They get advice. YouTube get advice, policy advice, and legal advice. This is the way system works. But online, this thing is evolving because online system is replacing offline system. You walk on the road physically. One day maybe you're going to walk virtually. You sit in your couch in your sitting room. You could be walking with your eyes closed, just in virtual world. You look at nanotechnology development involving nanotechnology, artificial intelligence. We live in an exciting world. And it's so exciting. Going back to universal credit, and I was saying, universal credit is actually means tested. Means tested. You have the means of living, of survival, financial means. Normally, it's about money. You have enough money to live on. If you don't, then you don't have the means to live on, to means to livelihood. So you are tested positively in your favor in terms of eligibility to benefit, which is something you want to do if you need benefit. See, the thing about getting benefit is not about want, it's about need. Because you see, if you want something, probably you should think of starting a business. Or if you can borrow money, big money, if you have knowledge and skill and experience and connection, you can be an entrepreneur. A big investor, big business investor. You can invest millions maybe into property. That is when you want to be rich. You want to be a big business person. But if you work to meet your needs, you work not to meet your wants, but to meet your needs, it means you're actually a poor person. I struggle with the term poverty because it sounds so negative. Even poor people do not want to hear, but that is the reality. If you're discussing of economics or finance, sometimes if you're on benefit, if you're going to get benefit, if you're a pensioner and you only if you're not paid benefit, you're going to be destitute. If you're going to be destitute, you're facing destitution. If you're a pensioner, you're supposed to get benefit because universal credit is not for pensioners. So it's for people who work for a living, the working age group of people. That is what universal credit for. It's the same with pension. In the context that it is there to meet your basic necessity, because the level of pay for benefit of any sort, including pension, universal credit, or child benefit. Child benefit is the name is suggestive, it's for children. And then outside child benefit, you get the universal credit for adults who are not pensioners, who are not children. If you are 16 years, 17 years, you may be eligible for universal credit, you might not be eligible, depending whether you are in full-time education or government funded training or something similar. Then 16 and 17-year-olds continues to get, they will continue to get child benefit. If you're in university, you don't get child benefit necessarily, because children going into university actually are from, I think, 18 or 19 years. You go to higher institution of higher learning. Sometimes in certain circumstances, you might be getting a universal credit. I have to confess, I'm not really very clear with circumstance that would be, but generally, because those are exceptions to the rules of universal credit, that the general rule on universal credit is done. If you are in university, in your full-time education, you get student finance, and all the other aspects of help, because universal credit sometimes provide elements, but you may also get standard allowance. You may not get standard allowance. It depends on your circumstance, but generally speaking, full-time students in the United Kingdom get student finance. Student finance went from grants, which is the opposite of loan, to what we now have a student loan. Student loan is you have to pay it back with interest. So the difference between loan and grant. Grant, you get it free of charge. Government changed the law, and now students get grant. The reason the government changed law, because the government is now trying to help the British people to get out of public service. It's now being to support the British people to get into private services. So in the future, you will not be able to get help from the government for anything, which will be a good idea. As long as the government actually support you sufficiently to get out of poverty, so that you can stand on your own feet. Before, in my opinion, before the government shut down totally, I'm suggesting that the government should increase the level of pay if you work, to support industry, small and medium businesses, and also big businesses. The best way to support big business is actually to grow the economy and to manage the economy as effectively as possible. There are challenges in doing this because, in my opinion, also the credit system is a very risky thing to actually the credit system, to use credit system to run the finance and the global finance, which is what we're doing now. Probably the only source of financing is now credit economy. I spoke on the credit crisis, the 2007-2008 global financial crisis. If you do a brief study of that, the thing which caused the crash was actually the credit system, and it's so complex that you need experts if you have money to pay for consultants. If not, you do your own research and read about it, or create a discussion group to discuss complex issues, because you are humans, you have brains. All of you are potential lawyers, all of you are potential doctors, potential engineers. You just have to find time, if you can, if there's an opportunity, use your time wisely. Also remembering, because sometimes you change the way you behave. If you are aware that the government is shutting down, different people may use different languages, but that is what I think. Because you see, if you sell over the National Health Service as a public sector, that actually is shut down now from the point of view of the public sector, the public service. It goes to the private sector. Private sector can provide it if they just money. Otherwise, it's going to shut it down as well. Because if the private sector, if they cannot get money, because the reason the government is selling of public sector, because they are expensive. They're costing taxpayers' money a lot of money. So taxpayers' money are concerned about their money being, being wasted. Sometimes, if you hear politicians talking, they talk of why public service is so wasteful. That's a political argument. And it's for the British people to understand, and also maybe speak to your member of parliament, so that you begin to understand what is the dynamics of social policy, public policy, and also the private sector, the economic dynamics happening in your country. But also you need to understand there is globalization. Globalization meaning what happened in the UK is most likely to happen more likely in terms of probability, more likely than not, to happen in Europe, America, Asia, and Africa. I have been repeating this area of information because they are fundamental to this discussion. They are actually the backbone of understanding society, policy, politics, economics, society, the idea of technology, the legal system, and also we're looking at the environment. Are we going to protect our environment? The answer is yes, because environment actually help us. That's where our food comes from. Our food comes from the environment. That's why you get environmental campaigners. But what we have in a country, you need to know what your surrounding is providing in terms of everything: policy, family. What kind of family do you have? I mean, what goes around comes around. What is going on in your society? Ask this question. You have to be aware. You see, you have to be prepared to do something about what is happening. If there is a problem, what would be the solution? If you are actually in poverty, if you live in poverty, what is the solution? You need to understand, your circumstance. What is happening to you? What kind of a person you are in terms of development, in terms of access to opportunities, in terms of training, in terms of education? What did you learn? Did you go to university? What subject did you learn? What do you want to use this subject for? That is your life. What's happening with your life, your family, your friends, your community, the street. It is your responsibility to make sure you are so up to date. And the government used to support you. We used to go to public library. We used to. I don't know what the government used to do exactly, but the idea of the public service was that you get free access if you need free access, like social services, let's say income also, like benefit, let's say public housing. But all these are changing, because you see the argument, the social argument is that society are getting better. We are getting richer as countries, and this is true. Britain is the sixth richest country in the world. That means Great Britain, the United Kingdom, is extremely rich. America, China, Russia, countries in Europe are so rich. In Asia, in America, even in Africa, in terms of infrastructure and capital building, Africa is becoming a very wealthy region of the world. And Africans need to also understand what is going on in Africa, in their society, in family, and what is your access to your member of parliament in terms of democracy and governance? What is happening? How can you actually see your MP if you want to see your MP in Africa? What is the condition of democracy? How about militarism in Africa or other parts of the world, maybe South America or parts of Asia? We have seen in Ukraine. If you live in Ukraine, leave a comment below. What is happening in your country? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there and complain about the government, or explain about God if you believe in God, or you're going to get up and do something about it? It doesn't matter. If you have to do a job just to access livelihood, you have to do it if you can do it. Sometimes you feel you cannot do something, but if you change your mind about something, you will discover that you are actually more able than you would like to think. You are very able. You can actually be a carpenter. You can be a roofer in terms of building. You can be a builder. You can be a mason. You laying bricks, blocks. I mean, you can also enjoy it. It's tiring. As some people think work, I do a lot of work on YouTube and out of YouTube. Even if you have to actually deal with information and also, doing research, writing reports, talking to clients, it look and sound as if it is easy. But if you enjoy working with it, the better. It's always challenging. Work is always challenging, and it is the way things are. technology is on the way to actually relieve us of the burden of work. And this is the truth. Technology is there. We discovered this technology, we created them, we manage them, we run them, we use them, and it is helping us. I am now using a camera, and which is actually on a mobile phone, and a stand, and I'm using all the other facilities. There is light. I am sitting on a chair. These are all the product of science and technology. People who know how to build. Anybody can do that if they get the opportunity. That's why now, if you watch content creator on YouTube, you will be really impressed. People who don't even know how to speak English, because it's the best language to use on YouTube is incidentally is English. I'm an African. I speak with an African accent, and every day I participate. I practice how to speak properly. If I could speak like King Charles or Rishi Sunak, which is the Prime Minister of Britain, or Barack Obama in America, a brother from another mother, would be nice, because these people are born in Europe. The Europeans actually are more adaptable to speaking English than Africans, because culturally we are so different. The way Africans speak, even our English is now evolving. We are now developing our own genre of English, if that is the right expression. Maybe iteration or whatever you want to call it. Africans speak like African, not the Jamaican, West Indies, West African. If you go to Nigeria, there is something called, I don't know what they call it. They call pidgin English. Pidgin. I don't know why they call it pidgin English. I don't know, because if you know why some language English is called pidgin English, leave a comment below and let me know what you're thinking. And please go back to talk about universal credit. Thank you so much if you have been watching this far, and we're in a good place. You're warmly welcome to this space, and talk to me, and leave a comment below. And if you enjoy, if you don't enjoy, please leave a comment below if you can. If not, then I'm so happy that you came, and we'll be continuing the process. Normally, processing is as important as achieving end result, and this is what the kind of options YouTube platform is able to provide. And I'm so excited for this opportunity. So we were talking, and we are talking about universal credit, different aspects of universal credit. We took looking at income. We're looking at universal credit as being means tested. And at this stage, you should be familiar with the word means tested. If you are watching this video for the first time, if you have watched the other video, you will probably be more familiar with the meaning of means testing. Means testing, if you have in specific term, in terms of eligibility criteria or universal credit, if you have £6,000, you can get you are more likely, without more, you are most likely to be eligible for universal credit. In other words, you are potentially going to be eligible for the full amount of universal credit standard allowance. I discussed standard allowance and the elements, because universal credit is paid as a standard allowance, which is what everybody who is eligible for universal credit gets. Now, if you are actually eligible to entitle you to other elements, so be it, because the standard allowance will be acting as a passport to the elements of universal credit. These are all payments. To universal credit elements, you're talking about. So income and capital are so important. Look at the level. If you have 6,000 of saving or capital, then you are actually looking at eligibility, competence. So if you are actually calculating the amount, you make a reduction of your income and your capital. You can make a calculation. You reduce your universal credit by the amount of capital. If you have 6,000 pounds, you reduce your universal credit, and you get the full amount. The law says you should get the maximum amount of standard allowance, because you have 6,000 pounds or less. That is the rule of universal credit as benefit. But also other rules would involve but the same rule. If you have 16,000 pounds, you can still get some benefit. You might even be getting only 5 pounds or 10 pounds, but that is useful because it may help you to get other help, other grants, maybe energy support fund or food bank, energy bank, fuel bank. You could be entitled to different other help or eligible for some other help. A lot of help are discretionary help, which is what I've been talking about. I'll be repeating it because the more I talk about it, the merrier. And thank you once more for being part of this participation. Is nice to know there are people watching other than actually talking to myself. It is so motivating to know that what I'm trying to say is actually being listened to. Yesterday, I think 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a friend who actually was phoning to thank me why he thinks, he's a housing officer. That is his profession. He's a housing officer. He phoned me. I said, okay, I saw your information on universal credit and benefit. I really like enjoy it. It's really, he said it's very good, which is a good thing to know. If you do your thing, you have to make sure it's as good as possible. And that's why we are actually trying to do these things to achieve certain standards, and also empower member of the public one or the other. And this is a social media situation. And you can check earnings from work also. That is how much you get. It's about 8,000 pounds. If you get 8,000 pounds, the likelihood you're not going to get standard allowance or universal credit. If you don't get that, so you might not get it altogether. So there are different rules to work out how much income to take into account. You can find out more about getting universal credit if you are self-employed. Because self-employed and employment are actually there to kickstart a process of income examination. And if it is compliant, then eligibility will actually occur if you are self-employed. Self-employed are actually an equivalent of being employed. It's an equivalent almost of people who are on a minimum wage. Because if you're self-employed, more likely you're a small and medium business, or even a sole operator, which is you just work for a living, as in the fundamentals, which is a good thing. So in assessing income in terms of employment or self-employment, you look at the hours, especially in some employment, because if somebody works full-time, it's most likely they are not going to be entitled to universal credit, because they will be paid minimum wage, national minimum wage, which is statutorily applicable. It's statutorily applicable. This applicability means they are mandatory for employers to actually pay, which means you cannot work for an organization and not be paid minimum wage, national minimum wage. It's applicable mandatorily. And so if the Department of Work and Pension will ask them a number of hours you work to give them an estimation, because they will know naturally that if you work 16 hours, maybe that you mean you're working part-time by definition, mean you are more likely to be eligible for universal credit. If you were working full-time, full-time, maybe 40 hours, 35, probably 35 hours, you begin to check now your income. But it's not the case that if you're working part-time, because if you work part-time and you're so lucky to work part-time and earn maybe 1,000 pounds per month, then for purposes of standard allowance, you probably will not be able to get standard allowance. But if you don't get standard allowance, it doesn't mean you're not going to get element, universal credit element. You can still get universal credit element. So when I say standard allowance is a passport, it's not entirely accurate, because sometimes if you pay rent, if you actually have to pay, say, for example, council tax deduction, which is not part of universal credit, you may still be eligible even if you are actually not getting universal credit. But universal credit is important. It's important. When I say universal credit, it's ridiculous, because I'm talking about standard allowance. So if you are paying, if your rent is being paid by benefit, then you'll be getting the housing element. That's also universal credit. And you may still be getting some other elements also, as we discussed in the other areas. So another thing I need to let you know is that universal credit has been increased, because in terms of assessment, if you or your partner earn £1, then your universal credit will be reduced by 55 pence currently. So for every £1 you earn, your universal credit will be reduced by 55 pence. But if you are actually within the assessment period, which actually ended before the 24th of November 2021, that's when the changes occur in policy. Each £1 you earn will reduce your universal credit by 63 pence. So these are actually some of the information you may be aware how they work it out. So every £1 you get a reduction of about 50% of your what you earn is reduced. Will reduce your universal credit amount if you are working for a living. So you can get some income without reducing your universal credit payment if you are responsible for a child. If you look after a child, then you might be allowed to get some income without reducing your universal credit, which which means there are actually maybe to do with when you are looking for a child, something to do with childcare. You get probably childcare element anyway because of that. If you have limited capability for work, which we have talked about, the sickness element. If you're sick because you are actually given that money, it's not going to reduce your standard allowance. That's what they're talking about. Because I said there is standard allowance, which is actually the main area of payment, and also other elements, such as if you're looking for a child, after a child, if you're sick, and stuff like that. And also, this is called having a work allowance. So, limited capacity for work, could work allowance. They could work allowance, which is okay, because limited capability for work is, and you're responsible for a child, they call it work allowance. So the size of your work allowance depends on whether you get universal credit housing element. So work allowance, if you get more or less, it depends on your housing element, which is the money you get to pay your rent. If you pay rent, then you are eligible for benefit. You might get housing allowance, more or less, depending on the overall income you get. Universal credit, and if you are in a certain situation where you get housing element and your work element is going to be 379 a month. That used to be called tax credit. Work elements used to be tax credit. In the legacy benefit, it was tax credit, which you have to be working to get tax credit. When to work allowance, working tax credit. Working tax credit is now called work elements. To get working tax credit or working element in universal credit, the same. You have to be working a certain amount of hour. If you work less than a certain amount of hour, you don't get it. So you get good money, working elements actually. If you're actually getting housing element also, you get housing element because your income is actually low. You only get working element if your income actually is been low a certain threshold. So that figures a situation where your work allowance actually, because you're getting housing element, you're eligible for for tax credit in what is now housing work element. It's called work allowance. I'm not sure if work allowance is different from work elements. I hope I'm right. But if you talk about work element or work allowance, that could be a different allowance. I'm not sure about that. But if you talk about work allowance, which you get £379 a month, which I think could be working element, but I think it's the same. You have a situation where you don't get housing element. Your work allowance is going to be £631 a month. So if you get housing benefit because you're in a temporary accommodation, if the council, the government is giving you temporary accommodation, but I don't think if you're only in a temporary accommodation if your landlord is actually the local authorities, if the government is your landlord, the local government, the local council, if you're a landlord, and you're in a temporary accommodation with the land, you're only in a temporary accommodation if the government is your landlord. So temporary waiting for government housing, as in the council housing. Under that circumstance, you get housing benefit instead of universal credit housing element. And then you get paid £379 a month work allowance. And still have to confirm to really establish what exactly work allowance is, because I'm not sure. I think it is actually work element of universal credit, because I've never heard of work allowance. But sometimes they use different technology interchangeable. I think it is housing work element, which is actually work element of universal credit, which is replacing tax credit. But I also am aware that universal credit is replacing income support. Thank you for watching this video. The next video I'm going to produce will be on universal credit, which is the financial support given to people who are actually needed it, who are eligible, who the idea of need is that you're on low income. It's not a luxury. But I would say the benefit system as a concept, in my opinion, should be actually increased. The aim of benefit is supposed to get the British people out of poverty, because I believe the economy cannot produce full employment, because with technology, also because of the market system. The market system means economy is run by private companies entirely. If it is maximum capitalism, if it is maximum market oriented, if it is fully marketized, where businesses actually are the one running, private businesses running the economy in every sense of the word, which is this. If you look at the pattern of policy and practices now in terms of the economy, you will actually be left in no doubt where the direction, where it is going. I've been making this claim over and again. If you think I'm wrong, leave a comment below. If you think I'm right, leave a comment below, or just go and do your research. But most likely than not, the public sector is shutting down, literally, because you see it happening. Transportation, education, there is something called lack of staffing. There are actually lack of staff. There is lack of food for children. Children are not having free breakfast in schools unless the system is just complex. It just it's school uniforms for children, and local authorities are to provide that. Different local authorities decide on their own respective policies. And this actually is so complex for people who are actually supposed to receive a service. They cannot unless they go to an advisor, a professional, to help them, to explain to them what is really complex. And that would be okay. But these organizations lack funding. They lack staffing. They don't have any resources to employ people, to employ advisors. And the Department of Work and Pensions, which is a statutory organization, the local authority, which is a statutory organization, this is an extension of government, central government being extended locally to provide service locally. And they don't have funding because there is no money. The government is not giving them money. You ask the government, why are you not adequately funding local services? Government will say, we are trying to protect taxpayers' money. We don't have money. And sometimes some politicians say money doesn't grow on trees. And they are right. Money does not grow on trees. So we have to really manage our expectation of what the government can do for us. The likelihood going forward, less and less, government will have less and less money because they cannot tax, they cannot borrow. Less and less. Taxation and borrowing is our only source of income in a country. The country either tax the people of the country to get revenue, to fund public sector, or borrow the money, or just access it reserve if it has reserve. But if you look at the budget, national budget, you'll probably find that every country of the world is indebted. Is actually in debt. If you're in debt, even what you have kept is what you put as a reserve may not be really there in any meaningful way. So without straying so much, I thank you so much for watching this video. Keep an eye on what is happening in the economy, especially public sector, public policy. Understand the politics, what the politicians say, what the media say, and make up your mind what you think is going on. I think there are changes being made where the public sector is closing down, the private sector is taking over, running the country, the United Kingdom, Europe, America. Actually, the globe is going to be run by the market system. That is what I think. You think I am wrong, leave a comment below. I'm not making any exotic claim or non-exotic claim. I am so grateful you came, and come again. Subscribe to this channel, support it, share with family and friends. See you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.